We have a saying in the ICU, the room is quietest right before the scream. I've worked in palliative care and critical care for over 30 years. I've overseen thousands of withdrawals of life support. Usually, it is a sacred moment, a moment of release. Families hold hands, they cry soft tears. They share stories of the person leaving them. It is heavy, yes, but it is often filled with love. But then there are the other cases, the cases where the air in the room feels thick, not with grief, but with anticipation. My name is Mary. I work the night shift, where the shadows are long and the secrets are loud. I thought I had seen every kind of family dynamic possible, the fighters, the denialists, the grievers, but I had never met anyone like Victoria Blackwood. When she walked into room 307, following the gurney of her comatose father, she didn't look like a daughter terrified of losing her dad. She looked like a project manager dealing with an inconvenient deadline. Her father, Arthur Blackwood, a pharmaceutical tycoon, was hooked up to a ventilator, his chest rising and falling with the mechanical rhythm that keeps death at bay. He had been in a coma for 3 days. Just 3 days. Most families wait weeks. They pray for miracles. They consult specialists. Victoria? She arrived with a binder of legal documents and a pen that cost more than my monthly salary. She wanted the machines off, immediately. He wouldn't want to live like a vegetable, she told the doctor, her voice steady, her makeup flawless. We followed the protocol. We checked the brain scans. We checked the legal paperwork. Everything seemed to be in order. The doctor turned the dial. The hiss of the ventilator stopped. The room went silent. Victoria let out a sigh that sounded suspiciously like relief. But death didn't come. Instead, 5 minutes after the machines were killed. The corpse opened his eyes. He didn't look at his daughter. He looked at me. And what he whispered to me in that cold, sterile room unraveled a crime so calculated that it still makes me check my own coffee twice before I drink it. Arthur Blackwood was admitted on a Thursday night. Code blue. Cardiac arrest at home. The paramedics got him back, but he was unresponsive. Glasgow coma scale of 3. He was a big man, even in the hospital bed. He had the kind of face that was used to giving orders, strong jaw, deep lines of stress. But now he was helpless. Tubes in his throat, lines in his arms, a catheter. He was entirely dependent on the machines and on his next of kin. Victoria Blackwood was his only child. She was 30-something, dressed in a black designer suit that looked severe and expensive. She had sharp features and hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. From the moment she arrived on the floor, the energy shifted. Nurses know. We are like animals in the forest. We can sense a predator. Nurse, she snapped at me as I was adjusting Arthur's IV fluids. Why is his skin so pale? Is the room too cold? Adjust the thermostat. His circulation is compromised, ma'am. I explained patiently. The pallor is normal for his condition. Well, fix it, she said, looking at her phone. I have the board of directors coming to visit in an hour. He needs to look presentable. Presentable, not comfortable, not peaceful, presentable. She didn't hold his hand. She didn't stroke his hair. She sat in the leather recliner in the corner of the VIP suite, typing furiously on her laptop. The click, clack, click of her keyboard was the only sound competing with the ventilator. I watched her from the nurse's station. I saw her make phone calls. She wasn't calling relatives. She wasn't calling a priest. Yes, the transfer is prepared, I heard her say once, her voice low. As soon as the death certificate is issued, the assets unlock. I need you to have the notary ready. I felt a chill go down my spine. We see greed in hospitals, sure, but this was different. This was industrial-scale coldness. On the second day, Dr. Evans, our attending physician, did his rounds. Any change in responsiveness? He asked me. No, doctor. Pupils are sluggish. No withdrawal to pain. Victoria stood up. Doctor, how long is this going to take? The uncertainty is agonizing for the family. Agonizing. She said the word without a single vibration of emotion. These things take time, Miss Blackwood, Dr. Evans said gently. The brain needs time to heal from the hypoxia. It's only been 48 hours. He wouldn't want this, she interrupted. She pulled a document from her Hermes bag. He was very clear. No extraordinary measures, no machines keeping him alive if there is no quality of life. She handed the paper to Dr. Evans. It was a living will, an advance directive. I see, Dr. Evans said, reading it. He frowned. This is dated last week? Yes, Victoria said smoothly. He had a premonition, I suppose. He was getting his affairs in order. He signed it in front of his lawyer. It's ironclad. Dr. Evans looked at the patient, then at the daughter. He was legally bound. If the paperwork was valid, we couldn't force treatment. I need to run this by legal, Dr. Evans said, but if it checks out, we can discuss extubation. Victoria nodded. A tiny, almost imperceptible smile touched the corner of her lips. Thank you, doctor. It's the merciful thing to do. Mercy, that was the word she used. But as I looked at her eyes, I didn't see mercy. I saw math. She was calculating the minutes until she became the sole owner of a pharmaceutical empire. Saturday night, the rain was lashing against the windows of room 307, creating a chaotic rhythm that matched the feeling in my gut. Legal had cleared the paperwork. The living will was valid. The power of attorney was valid. Victoria Blackwood had the legal right to end her father's life support. She scheduled it for 8:00 p.m. Who schedules a death like a dinner reservation? I was in the room, doing the final checks. Arthur looked the same. Still. Silent, but something about his color. It wasn't the gray of a dying man. It was the flushed red of a man fighting. I checked his labs. His kidney function was weird. His electrolytes were chaotic. It looked like metabolic acidosis, but the cause was unclear. The doctors assumed it was post-cardiac arrest organ failure. I was wiping his face with a cool cloth when Victoria entered. She had changed clothes. She was wearing all black now, a funeral outfit. She was dressed for the widow role before the man was even dead. Is it time? She asked. Dr. Evans is on his way, I said. She walked over to the bed. For the first time, she touched him. She placed her hand on his railing, not his skin. You had a good run, Dad, she whispered. I froze. It wasn't, I love you. It wasn't, I'll miss you. It was, you had a good run. Like he was a racehorse being put down because of a broken leg. I looked at the monitor. Arthur's heart rate spiked. 90. 105. 110. He can hear you, I said sharply. Hearing is the last sense to go. Be careful what you say. Victoria looked at me with disdain. He's brain dead, nurse. The monitor is just reflexes. She pulled out her phone. She checked it. I saw the screen reflection in the window. She wasn't checking messages. She was checking a banking app. A massive balance was displayed on the screen. My stomach turned. Miss Blackwood, I said, stepping between her and the bed. Are you sure about this? We could wait another 24 hours. Sometimes people surprise us. Are you questioning my decision? Her voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Are you questioning his written wishes? I'm just saying. He seems strong. He is suffering, she snapped, loud enough to startle me. End it. I want it ended now. Dr. Evans walked in at that moment. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Okay, Dr. Evans said, sensing the hostility. We are ready to proceed with the compassionate withdrawal of care. Mary, do you have the morphine ready? Yes, doctor. We administer morphine not to kill, but to suppress the feeling of air hunger so the patient doesn't panic when the tube comes out. It's for comfort. I injected the morphine into the port. Victoria watched the syringe with hungry eyes. I want to pause here. We rely on family members to make these decisions because we assume they act out of love. We assume the bond of blood is stronger than the allure of money. But looking at Victoria, watching her tap her foot impatiently while her father lay dying, I realized that for some people, family is just an obstacle to an inheritance. What would you do if you suspected a family member was rushing a death for money? Would you speak up and risk your job, or stay silent and follow the law? Let me know in the comments. 8:05 p.m. Okay, Dr. Evans said softly. I'm going to turn off the ventilator now. Then Mary will remove the tube. He may breathe on his own for a while, or he may pass quickly. It depends on his strength. Victoria nodded. She pulled a tissue from her purse and held it to her dry eyes. She was getting ready for her close-up. Click. The rhythmic whoosh sigh of the ventilator stopped. The silence that followed was deafening. "Proceed." "Mary," Dr. Evans said. I gently untaped the tube from Arthur's mouth. I deflated the cuff. With a smooth motion, I pulled the long plastic tube out of his airway. Arthur gasped, a ragged, wet sound. This is the hardest part, the terminal gasp. It's a reflex. "Is he dead?" Victoria asked immediately. "No," I said, checking his pulse. "His heart is still beating. He is breathing on his own. Shallow, but he's breathing." Victoria's face fell. Just for a microsecond the mask slipped. She looked annoyed. "I thought taking the tube out meant he would die," she said, her voice tight. "Not always," Dr. Evans explained. "If his brain stem is intact, he will continue to drive respiration. It could take hours, days even." "Days?" Victoria screeched. She caught herself, lowering her voice. "I mean, days of suffering. That's inhumane." "We will keep him comfortable," I said, placing a hand on Arthur's shoulder. Dr. Evans stayed for 10 minutes. Arthur's breathing was rough but steady. The oxygen saturation hovered around 88%. Low but sustainable. "Call me if there are changes," Dr. Evans said, leaving the room to attend to other patients. It was just me, Victoria, and Arthur. Victoria paced the room. Her heels clicking on the linoleum were driving me insane. She kept looking at the monitor, staring at the heart rate, mentally willing the line to go flat. "Why won't you just go?" she whispered to the air. I sat in the corner, documenting the extubation. I decided I wasn't going to leave the room. I didn't trust her alone with him. I had a feeling that if I left, a pillow might accidentally find its way over his face. "Nurse," she said, turning to me with a fake smile, "can you get me a coffee? I'm exhausted." She wanted me out. "I can call the aide to bring you one," I said. "My place is with the patient during the transition." She glared at me, pure hatred. Then it happened. The monitor didn't slow down. It sped up. Beep, 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 beep. Arthur's chest heaved, a massive intake of air. It wasn't a death rattle. It was a roar of life. His body arched off the mattress. His arms, which had been limp for 3 days, suddenly flew up, grabbing the bed rails. "What is happening?" Victoria screamed, backing away against the wall. "Why is he moving?" "He's seizing," I said, rushing to the bed. "Or he's waking up. It's called the Lazarus phenomenon. Sometimes, when pressure is released from the chest after the vent is removed, circulation improves momentarily. But this was violent. Arthur was coughing, choking on the phlegm in his throat. I grabbed the suction wand. "Mr. Blackwood, Arthur, can you hear me?" I cleared his airway. He took a massive, shuddering breath. And then he opened his eyes. They weren't glazed. They weren't empty. They were bloodshot, terrified, and hyper-focused. He looked around the room wildly. He saw the ceiling. He saw the equipment. He saw Victoria cowering in the corner. When his eyes landed on his daughter, he let out a sound I will never forget. It was a moan of pure heartbreak. Then he looked at me. He saw the nurse's uniform. He saw safety. He reached out his hand. His grip clamped onto my wrist like a vice. It hurt. He pulled me down, close to his face. "I have to take a moment to thank you deeply for watching this story up to this point. Most people turn away when things get scary, but you are still here. I appreciate every single one of you who supports this channel. But brace yourself, because what Arthur whispered to me wasn't nonsense. It wasn't delirium. It was the key to a murder mystery. Mr. Blackwood," I soothed him, "you're safe. You're in the hospital." He shook his head frantically. He was trying to speak, but his throat was raw from the tube. "Vic," he croaked. "Vic, Victoria is here," I said, looking back at her. "Your daughter is here." "No," Arthur rasped. The word was explosive. He tried to push himself up. Victoria looked like she had seen a ghost. Her face was paper white. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably. This wasn't the reaction of a relieved daughter. This was the reaction of a criminal whose victim just stood up from the chalk outline. "He's delirious," Victoria stammered. "Sedate him. He's in pain. Put him back under." "I will not," I said firmly. "He's conscious. Mr. Blackwood, squeeze my hand if you understand me." He squeezed my hand so hard I thought he might break my fingers. Water! He wheezed. I grabbed a cup of water with a straw. I held it to his lips. He drank desperately. The tea, he whispered. His voice was getting stronger. The bitter tea. I frowned. What tea, Arthur? He pointed a shaking finger at Victoria. She gave me the tea. The room seemed to drop 10 degrees in temperature. Victoria lunged forward. He doesn't know what he's saying. He has brain damage. Dad, stop it. You're scaring me. She tried to grab his hand, but Arthur recoiled as if she were a viper. Get her away, he snarled. I stood up, putting my body between the patient and the daughter. Ms. Blackwood, step back, I ordered. My nurse voice came out, the voice that commands trauma rooms. This is ridiculous, Victoria yelled. He's hallucinating. I demand you give him a sedative. He's agitated. He is accusing you, I said, and I am listening. I looked at Arthur. What happened with the tea? Arthur closed his eyes, gathering his strength. Tuesday night, she came over to sign the papers. Brought me special herbal tea. Said it would calm my nerves. He coughed, his chest heaving. It tasted deep, metallic, like antifreeze. I asked her. She said it was a new blend. Antifreeze. Ethylene glycol. My mind raced back to his labs. The metabolic acidosis, the kidney failure, the strange calcium crystals in the urine that the lab had flagged but not identified yet. It wasn't cardiac arrest, it was poisoning. He hadn't had a heart attack. He had ingested a toxic dose of ethylene glycol, which mimics inebriation and then shuts down the kidneys and heart. You tried to kill me, Arthur whispered, looking at his daughter with a look of devastation that was harder to watch than the physical pain. For the money, for the merger, Victoria's arrogance shattered. She realized the timeline. If he survived, the living will was void. The power of attorney was void, and she was going to prison. She looked at the door. She looked at her bag on the chair. I need to leave, she said, her voice trembling. I need to call my lawyer. You aren't going anywhere, I said. I pressed the code blue button on the wall, not for a medical emergency, but to summon the swarm. When you press that button, everyone comes. Doctors, nurses, security. Victoria panicked. She grabbed her Hermes bag. Move, she screamed at me. Security, I yelled as the doors burst open. Dr. Evans ran in, followed by 2 large orderlies. Stop her, I pointed at Victoria. She poisoned him. Call the police. Victoria tried to push past Dr. Evans, but he blocked her. She swung her bag at him. It hit the floor, spilling its contents. Lipstick, wallet, phone, and a small unmarked glass vial with a few drops of clear liquid left. The room froze. We all looked at the vial rolling on the linoleum. Arthur Blackwood slumped back onto his pillows, exhausted, tears streaming down his face. My own blood, he whispered, my own little girl. The next hour was a blur of blue uniforms. The police arrived. They bagged the vial. They took Arthur's statement right there in the ICU bed. Victoria didn't scream or cry when they cuffed her. She just went cold. Her face returned to that mask of indifference. As they led her out, she looked at her father one last time. You should have just drank it and died, Dad, she said. You're going to ruin the company's stock. That was her goodbye, not I'm sorry. But you're going to ruin the stock. Arthur survived. The kidneys were damaged, and he needed dialysis for months. But he recovered. The living will she had presented. It was a forgery. She had forged his signature 2 days before the poisoning. The lawyer who witnessed it was her boyfriend. I visited Arthur a few weeks later before he was discharged. He was sitting in a wheelchair, looking out the window at the city skyline. Mary, he said, turning to me, you saved me. You saved yourself, Mr. Blackwood. I did you. You fought the darkness. I heard you, he said softly, when I was under. When the machine was breathing for me. I heard you fighting for me. I heard you tell her to be careful what she said. He took my hand. They say hearing is the last thing to go, he said. It's true. I heard her counting her money. And I heard you protecting a stranger. Victoria Blackwood is currently serving 25 years for attempted murder and fraud. The Lazarus Effect didn't just bring her father back to life. It brought the truth to light. And me? I still work the night shift. But now, whenever a family member is in a hurry to turn off the machines, whenever they look at their watch instead of their loved one, I remember room 307. I remember that sometimes the person in the bed isn't ready to leave. They are just waiting for the right person to listen. So, the next time you are in a hospital, watch the eyes. The eyes tell you everything. The mouth can lie, the tears can be fake, but the eyes never lie. And that creates a bond between us, doesn't it? You and I, we are the watchers now. If this story sent a shiver down your spine, or if it made you want to hug your own parents a little tighter, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It helps us expose the darkness. Share this video with your family. Start a conversation. Because you never know what secrets are hiding in plain sight. And if you want to join me for more shifts, more miracles, and more mysteries from the graveyard shift, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The hospital never sleeps, and neither do the stories. I'm Nurse Mary. I'll see you in the next video. Be safe.